Okay, I have to address this because it annoys me. Every single time someone is like, how is it legal? How is it legal for her to work this many hours? Guys, if you live in America and you have a salary and you have a living wage, if you have a salary and you make like less than $30,000 a year, I mean, you can't survive, but they do have to pay you overtime. If you live in America and you have a salary and you make a living wage, there is actually no too much. There are no requirements. They don't have to give you a lunch break. They don't have a limit on how much they can make you work. Yeah, there's actually no labor laws. And it annoys me because every time in the comment section, people are like debating like, oh, if you must assume that they're paying her at least this much in overtime, etc. Like, no, there is actually no rules. There is no rules. It's nothing is no rules. They could do anything they want to me. And they do. But also it's okay. This is like the best job I've ever had, honestly. It's fun. It's fast-paced. I like my coworkers. Everybody's pretty cool. And I know that that's depressing. Like, I know that, man. I know that. But, like, the first place I worked was so profoundly bad in every way. First of all, I worked a lot more than I work here, right? The first place I ever worked, I worked 80 hours a week. It was bad, in many ways. At the time, I didn't really recognize it because I was pretty, oblivious. I don't know if I've talked about this. So I tend to wear skirts. I like to wear skirts, because I find them less overwhelming in a sensory way. And when I got that job, I was told not to wear skirts, because some people in the office found it provocative. I was like 18 when I got that job. I was actually 17 when I got that job. So I didn't realize that this was like sexual harassment, right? I didn't realize that being told like, we can't see your knees or we'll think bad thoughts, even though all of my coworkers wore shorts all the time. So they had never had a woman work there full time before, but they had had an intern a few years before. And her name was Michelle. And I know this because I worked on some code that she'd written, right? So like I saw her name anyway, everyone thought that her name was Melissa. I don't know why, but they just like had a joke about like not bothering to learn this girl's name. But then because I was also a girl, we looked nothing alike, by the way. Like we were not the same race. Everyone would call me Melissa, which wasn't even the name of the girl who'd worked there a few years before. It was the name that they would call her because they didn't want to bother learning her name. The guy who I reported to directly was in his 50s and married, and he wrote a really sexually explicit song about me that was revolting. Dude, the only HR call that ever happened when I was there was to me. I got called by HR because I was wearing skirts. And I want to be clear, like, I was wearing skirts that were quite conservative, right? Like, to the knee or longer. And then the person who was my mentor after that, I was assigned to work from his house during COVID, and he was drunk all the time and kept trying to kiss me. Also, there was another guy who, he was living on his boat because he had beaten up his wife really bad and she had kicked him out of the house. I think the police had ordered him out of the house, but then he still writes to me. It's been years. Every year on around the holidays, he writes to me and he's like, "Hey, Ellie, you want to come out and see my boat?" Every year. I've never wanted to see his boat. His name is Mike, and I've never wanted to see his boat. And also the bathroom. This is the place where the bathroom was okay, so there were two bathrooms because it was a building made for a normal company, but they had only ever employed one woman and only for a few months, and then me. There weren't like lights in there, and it was where they mostly stored stuff, but it was also out of courtesy where the guys would go if they had to take like a really bad poop so that no one else would have to deal with it. But then I started working there. And, they were like, okay, it's Ellie's bathroom now, which I didn't want my own bathroom. That's weird as well. But then instead, like, they just kept doing that. So I would just like be in there with the lights off with my phone flashlight, like trying to see where everything was, like trying to step over all the boxes. And like a guy that I worked with would just like come in and just drop the worst dump that ever happened. And I'd just, be there, man. Honestly, like, people talk about, like, oh, Ellie, this job sounds really bad. And I'm like, guys, this job is great. Jobs are bad. Jobs are really bad. But, like, I don't know. This job is totally doable. I kind of like it. All my coworkers are chill. Yeah, I can't believe that guy would poop in Melissa's bathroom. Jobs don't have to be bad, though. A little bit, though. A little bit, I think. Worse jobs existing doesn't make this good. My point is just that, like, I did that job, and I didn't hate it, right? I don't know. The work was interesting. I worked on robots. I was like, Robots are cool. There were decent people who worked there. Yeah, I don't know. Ellie Baudelaire with a series of unfortunate events. Honestly, here's the thing. That's not that unfortunate. That's not that unusual for tech companies. It's just not, you know? They're not great. They're not great. Yeah, I don't know. I don't really expect my job to be, like, amazing in every way. This is the thing is college was similar. I don't know. Like, that's kind of just the state of the industry. And I don't hate it. I don't hate it at all. And they pay me very well here, and I don't hate it. And those are my requirements. And I get to work with robots, and robots is cool. So yeah,